everyone on the platform, Minister Chrissy and Deputy Minister Soju. Not too sure who is leading the delegation of the South African Police. I see Lieutenant Colonel Mlambo, Lieutenant General Patekile, I think, yes. Not too sure if the Minister of Department of Public Works is here. I'm not too sure if...
Which one?
The new one.
No, there must still be a handover, so we're expecting Honorable Delil to be here. I'm not too sure who's leading the delegation of the South African Human Rights Commission. I did not receive the delegation list. The only one I have is from the Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and Environment, led by the Minister and the Deputy Minister. The head of the delegation, I suspect, is on behalf of the DG, is Ms. Pumeza Notata. Ms. Leseke is here, Mr. Cyril Ndo, Mr. Korombi Matibe, Mrs. Hani, Mr. Mguni, Mr. Nana, Mr. Leontinis, Ms. Ndibongo, Ms. Mbogoto. From the Sanbi, Professor Edward Nesavuni, the chairperson of the board there, Mr. Shonisani Munezi, Ms. Tole, Mr. Mashile, Ms. Mbizo, Mr. Kutu. From the South African National Parks, Mr. Jeff Mashele, who is representing the SANParks board, Mr. Property Mukwena, the acting CEO, Ms. Liz McCourt, acting CFO, Ms. Rebecca Pillay, the COO, from iSimangaliso Wetland Park Authority, Inkosi Mabudu Israel Tembe, the board chairperson, Mr. Sibusiso Emmanuel Bukosini, the CEO, Ms. Kamkile Simangaliso Mtambo, the Chief Financial Officer of iSimangaliso, Ms. Lungile Fanelesbong Ntuli, the support, strategic support manager. That's the only list that I have from DFFE and its entities. Let me just check from...
Sure. Oh, sorry to interject. I did share that. Can you check from page 2? You'll have the delegation from the SAPS.
No, I don't have it.
Is it?
No. No, I do not have it. It's okay, Chilega. I copy. Let's check from the South African Police Services who is leading the delegation. South African Police Services.
Well, good morning, Chair. Good morning to the Minister and honorable members. I'm Lieutenant General Patekile, the Provincial Commissioner of Western Cape. We'll be dealing with the presentation with General Makashalala, who's the Deputy Provincial Commissioner for Detectives, as well as the District Commissioner of the Overberg area, Major General Mocholoki. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant General. Let me check from South African Human Rights Commission.
Chairperson, good morning. Chairperson, can you hear me?
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. Yes, hi, good morning, Chairperson, Ministers, and Honorable Members. The delegation is being led by Commissioner Sibanyone, and it will consist of myself, Tanya Kalitz, and Matthew Duplessis from the Western Cape office. And thank you. I think it was Honorable repulsive that has admitted to issues. So I won't hold him accountable. Good morning to all of you.
It's fine, Reverend. You can go. We will come there in numbers.
Chair, where are you?
Can't hear you, Chair.
Oh, I was muted, I'm sorry. The speaker from the Human Rights Commission. Can you please show your face and tell us who you are?
You don't know Reverend Nissen?
Chairperson, my name is
Theodore.
Chris Nissen. Chairperson, my name is Chris Nissen, and I'm a commissioner with the South African Human Rights Commission. And Commissioner Sibanyone is leading this delegation. And I wish that he then introduces the delegation, but I thought because you were asking Chairperson, Honorable Chair, so I thought just maybe I would like to then say that he must do the honors. I'm on my way to a place where there's an eviction, so I'll be in and out of the meeting, but I'm supporting Commissioner Sibanyone because I know Knofloskraal in and out. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Nissen. That is Banyoni.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chairperson, and the members of the Portfolio Committee. And I'm going to be making an introduction, and Commissioner Nissen will then delve into the issues that we are reporting about today. Making the introduction, I just want to indicate that this year, 2023, marks exactly 110th year since the 1913 Land Act. That's why our PowerPoint presentation has got introductions on 110 years marking of the Native Land Act of 1913. And then I would like to say, as the South African Human Rights Commission, we are at the present moment doubled with the impact of the 1913 Native Land Act. We will be going through the length and breadth of the country in trying to address the impact of that 1913 Land Act. And because it talks to disposition of land when the land was taken from the indigenous people. And we also are mindful of the words. They are historic words that were uttered by none other than Mr. Sol Plaatje, who said that immediately the
Commissioner,
1913.
Chairperson.
through you,
Sorry,
Chair.
Chairperson, what is this a presentation or what's going on?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Sibanyoni,
Yes.
I thought you are doing the introductions.
Oh,
Who are you?
Colleagues.
No, I am introducing the PowerPoint presentation and then after hand over to Commissioner
No,
Chris Nissen.
we are not there yet. We just wanted to know who are you with?
I'm sorry, Mr. Modise, my apology. My name is JB Sibanyoni, for Jonas Ben Sibanyoni. Formerly, I was a member of parliament for 10 years, 2004 and 2014. I'm now in the South African Human Rights Commission, and my focus area is land, farming communities, or the right to food, as well as environment. And I'm with Commissioner Chris Nissen, and then he will introduce himself. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
That's fine, Mr. Sibanyoni. We won't give him an opportunity to introduce himself. We wanted you to tell us who are the people you're with. But now that you have given it as a hint, it's fine. We'll accept that. Let's go to the local municipality of Theewaterskloof.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to all the members. The name is Boy Mangobangubo. I am the municipal manager in Theewaterskloof Municipality.
Are there political leadership who are here?
The mayor is just in a budget presentation next door, but I did indicate that I'll give him a ring when we need to respond.
That's fine. South African Police Services? Oh, we're done with that. Department of Public Works?
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Nyele Timakobele. I'm the DDG at the Department of Public Works. I don't see my DG in the platform, but I have DDG Sasa Suban, who is responsible for real estate management services, and also the regional manager for Cape Town, who will be doing the presentation for us today. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. We're all welcome. Are there other apologies, Chilega?
No, Chairperson.
Honorable members, are there apologies would like to register?
Chairperson.
Honorable C.
Sorry, I'm not lifting my hand up. I'd like to leave it about 5 to 1. I have another urgent meeting.
Noted, Honorable C. Thanks. Any other apology, honorable members? Honorable Bryant.
Thanks, Chair. I just, around about the middle of the meeting, Chair, I'm going to have to step out for about half an hour and come back in again, just so you're aware, but I will notify Teleka.
Thank you, Honorable Bryant. Further apologies? Okay,
Chair,
none.
Chair, it's Barbara Creasy here.
Minister Creasy, you survived the X. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning to all honorable members. You're still stuck with me. Chair, just to say if we could try to finish by 1, because as you know, there is a sitting today. So I will leave at 1. But also to say that I'm shortly going to have load shedding. So I will request you that I can keep my camera off. Thank you.
Certainly, I think we should push as fast as we can so that we allow honorable members to attend the sitting. Honorable Paulsen?
Yeah, no, those who have survived the X is because the president is not make sure.
Come on, you would have missed me.
Okay.
He's out of order, Minister. He was going to miss you a lot.
Can I get a move of the adoption of the agenda as flighted?
Chairperson Modise.
Honorable Winkler?
Yes, I'll move, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Winkler. Can I get a seconder?
Chairperson, it's Honorable Mbata. I second.
Thank you very much, Honorable Winkler and Honorable Mbata. Let's go straight to the issues. The first presentation is by the South African Human Rights Commission. Your 10 minutes start now.
Chairperson Modise, our hand up. It's for the Moat van der Schuyf, the screen. May we have an opportunity to speak? It's the Knofloskraal leadership, also in attendance.
Okay, on what item do you want to speak on?
We are at introductions. We have not formally introduced ourselves.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. It's an error on my part. Please proceed.
Certainly. In the municipal space where we are gathered, we are attended by the CLO of Theewaterskloof Municipality. I'll just bring this around in that way. We have the Klipfontein Aboriginal Kingdom, the Hesequa Indigenous Royal House, New Inkwe Royal House, Knofloskraal Royal House, as well as the Nama Kingdom and Grabouw Khoisanraad. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please accept my apologies again to the leadership of Knofloskraal. South African Human Rights Commission.
Thank you once more, Chairperson. I will also say again, please also accept my apologies. I'm going to rewind to say I'm going to be giving an introduction of the topic that we are going to present today to the Portfolio Committee. Thereafter, Commissioner Nissen is going to take over from me and delve deeply into the issues of the Knofloskraal. My introduction is based on letting or reminding all of us, I don't want to preach to the converted, to say that the year 2013 or 2013 marks exactly 110 years since the promulgation of the 1913 Land Act. That Land Act's effect was dispossession of land from the indigenous people of South Africa. And we are also bearing in mind the words that were uttered by Saul Plaatje, who said that after the act was promulgated, when people woke up on the following day, the people who were the owners of the land, they found themselves foreignized in the land of their birth. And as the Human Rights Commission, we say there is a need that arises to regain land. And having said that, Chairperson, I would just briefly want to say, as the Human Rights Commission will be going into the length and breadth of the country using our provincial offices, taking forward the question or the impact of the 1913 Land Act. Commissioner Nissen's office, with his focus area, has at times been engaging with the community on a continuous basis, especially with Mr. David Williams. And this engagement, Chairperson, continued whilst there was a court order. I must mention that. Engagement also involved discussions with councillors of the Theewaterskloof Municipality and relevant stakeholders. And Commissioner Nissen's office has ensured that there is stability and that the N2 road is open at all times. Complaints have been lodged at the Human Rights Commission in the Western Cape since 2019. And on the 6th December last year, the Western Cape Provincial Office assessed one complaint and advised that it is not best placed to assist. And then it further advised that a court be approached for urgent interim relief to order the authorities to provide the community with the necessary services while the dispute over the land prevails. Why? Because even if there is a dispute, people need to have water and people need to have human rights as guaranteed by Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And then at this stage, so as to utilize our slot fruitfully, I would like to hand over to Commissioner Nissen when he will talk directly what the Human Rights Commission has been doing in assisting the disputes in the Knofloskraal, because he has been reporting repeatedly in the commissioners' weekly meeting about the situation there. With your permission, Mr. Chairperson, at this stage, I will stop and allow Commissioner Chris Nissen to take over. Thank you.
Commissioner Nissen, we know you are driving, you might be having difficulties. Are you able to hear us?
No. Thank you, Chair.
Can you hear me?
You,
Yes.
the honorable
Yes.
members, and the ministers and deputy ministers, and our colleagues from SAPS, and our colleagues from Theewaterskloof, but most importantly as well, I want to say to our colleagues from the different houses from Knofloskraal, good morning to all of you. Chairperson, whilst the Human Rights Commission, South African Human Rights Commission, do not agree with illegal occupation of any land, be it public or private, but it does recognize.
Mr. Nissen,
Yes.
1 second. Honorable Brian, see your hand.
No, Chair, I was just checking if Mr. Nissen is driving. I'm just concerned about his safety. If he's driving with the phone, maybe we could give him time to pull over and get his camera on. We don't want an accident to happen.
Commissioner Nissen.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I have pulled over and in a safe place, because thank you so much to the honorable member. But can I put off my camera for the sake of, sometimes the problem of connectivity is an issue. If that's okay with you, Chairperson.
Okay. Agreed. Please proceed. Thank you, Honorable Brian.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Thank you to Honorable Brian for that. Yes, I did pull off, and and let me just say again, the South African Human Rights Commission do not condone any illegal occupation of land, whether it's public or private. And I have stated this over and over again to many communities, including the different houses at Knofloskraal. However, the Commission does recognize the right to access to land. And Chair, if I would have had time, I'll explain to you and the Minister and the Honorables that I'm not the Khoisan leader, I'm not involved in it, but I've done my academic work in 78 up till 1980 on the Khoi and the San. And I do believe they, like any other community, do any other groups and of us, like for example, if you go to Pofolo, Ukona I say it's called Amanknukwebe, which is the Khoi and San tribe there in Twagasi. So I believe everybody are all indigenous in this country, and the 1913 Land Act has really prejudiced some of the groupings in this country. So whilst I am saying illegal occupation is wrong, as the Human Rights Commission, we say we then need to protect. And the community of Knofloskraal has endured so many issues, from raids, private security, the local farmers, all of them, etc. But we have managed, and I must thank Brigadier Heilbron, who has been very crucial, and from South African Police Services, in ensuring that at least there's communication, and there were sometimes very brutal attacks, but brutal engagement, but Brigadier Heilbron has been able to bring stability in the area together with the leadership of all those who were mentioned by our leader there. The second thing, Chair, is the issue of, services. Of course, government policies that you do not provide unless it is engaged by the local municipality to have services. But the many complaints I receive, for example, from people living on farms and
Commissioner Nissen, we are losing you.
Private and public properties or voting, then we must. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes.
No, I'm saying that the issue about services on provision of land that is not deemed for people to have it. And I know, and I must thank Minister De Lille in the Marikana in Cape Town. She managed to have, when she was the mayor, to put services on the edges of private property. So we do need services in the area. Whilst the court cases are going, and as the commission, we do not pronounce on those things until the court case, the law take its course. I've engaged with the mayor of Theewaterskloof on numerous occasions to say, just provide the minimal. While the court case is on, we cannot predict what's going to happen, but people in the area, that are there, they want to practice their traditional rights. They want, as Corey and Son, have the land, and they want to make sure that there is a future for their children. So whilst we disagree with the illegal occupation, we're asking all the government departments to ensure that people have access to the land. This also happened, Chairperson. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that SANParks is there, but I wondered about Cape Nature, because in the Mfuleni area, we have had a similar situation, and yet the city of Cape Town provided on their land, they provided services to those people who occupied. Yet we also agreed that we told them not, it's illegal, but they provided land. Now we're asking the Theewaterskloof municipality, whilst the court cases are on, can you at least provide the bare minimum, that is sanitation and water? Thank you, Chairperson. That's from my side. If there are any question, I'm prepared to take it. Thank you, Chair.
Is that the end of the presentation of the South African Human Rights Commission? Well, I suspect so.
Yes, that is the end, Chairperson, because
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Honorable members. Honorable Weber, you'll be the first.
Honorable DC, I'm a little bit stunned about the presentation. I'm not sure what the Human Rights Commission say. I think we all agree that although it's illegal occupation, there's processes where people can follow to get their land back. I'm not sure what they're saying and what they've investigated, because everything is said, we know this is busy. So if you can maybe just be more clear, the Human Rights Commission decided the local municipality must provide service delivery, or we're waiting for the court cases to be finalized. Because what I got out of the presentation is basically City of Cape Town provided services to illegal land from Cape Nature. So I assume that is exactly that must happen from this municipality to Knofloskraal. I'm not sure what is actually being presented. Thank you.
Further takers, honorable members. Honorable Mbata.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I think what I want to say, Chairperson, is that I'm happy that the Commission is saying they condone all any illegal occupant of any land. I agree with them if they say these communities must be given them the services, which is water and sanitation, which is the key, as is stated in the Constitution. I agree with them, but while we're waiting for the court case, it's true because those people must get the services in order not for them to pollute any of the environment. But until the court case is finalized, then we'll hear from both the departments that are dealing with the court case. I don't have a problem when they are getting the services. It's their right to get the services, though we are waiting for the court case. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mbata. Honorable Paulsen, followed by Honorable Bryant.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I don't know, but Commissioner Nissen says he's against illegal land occupation, and the previous commissioner used the 1913 Land Act as a backdrop to his presentation. So that in itself tells us, you know, the 1913 Land Act was an act by an illegitimate white government that stripped almost every native of its right to land. So when people like those in Knofloskraal go and seek justice by occupying land to which they have every right, I think the Commission, the South African Human Rights Commission, in the spirit of the name human rights, should endorse these acts. These people don't have anywhere else to go. So I don't know why Commissioner Nissen is opposed to land occupation. If the government doesn't want to provide services to these people, they are in contravention of the Constitution, which says that every person has the right to a life of dignity. The Bill of Rights guarantees that. For so long, people in Knofloskraal have been living without proper services. And the longer this drags on, the longer this government is contravening that Bill of Rights. And we must find a mechanism where these municipalities can act very quickly to provide services, because I can promise Commissioner Nissen, we are going to continuously occupy land. It's Knofloskraal today. Tomorrow it's going to be Camps Bay. Tomorrow it's going to be Bishop's Court. Tomorrow it's going to be Constantia. And this government must find a way of providing services to people who occupy land. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Paulsen. Honorable Bryant.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you to Mr. Nissen and his colleague for the brief presentation. It is good to hear that Mr. Nissen has agreed that any illegal occupations should never be condoned, that there is a process, and restitution is important, but there is a process that needs to be followed. But I've just got one question for Mr. Nissen or his colleague. In terms of the slideshow that was sent around, it was mentioned on there that the Human Rights Commission sent a letter through to, I think it was to Minister de Lille or to the DPWI, and gave them until the 24th of February to respond. In terms of the slideshow that we received, said that there was no response from the DPWI. Has there been a response yet? And if so, what has that response said in terms of the way forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Bryant. I see Matthew Du Plessis. I suspect this from the Human Rights Commission. I can only give you an opportunity to respond to the clarification questions that are being sought by members. I don't think you want to ask a question, do you, Mr. Du Plessis?
Chairperson, may I come in? Can Mr. Du Plessis wait until all the questions have been answered, and then we'll respond? Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Zamini.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I just want to find out on this question about illegal occupation of land, where the human rights, maybe they have some statistics based on what is happening today, this climate change, the floods and all that. How many areas where actually there was an illegal occupation that now was flooded? Because now those areas were not surveyed, no legal terms that were taking place. Then now it seems that it might create a lot of problems and all that. Now, maybe once you can get that, those who are pro on illegal occupation will be able to understand that now we are putting lives of our people in danger. So I just want to understand now the question about the statistics that now we have, how actually it does affect those who are illegally occupants, then now vis-a-vis with the floods and so forth and all that. Thank you.
Honorable Winkler.
Thank you, Chair. So my question would be, as the Honorable Bryant has rightly pointed out, that of course land restitution is very important, and that we must uphold the rule of law. Otherwise, our state will dissolve into chaos. So has there been any process embarked upon into the investigation of land claims by the occupants, and how far is that process? And yeah, I think that's what we need to establish. Thank you.
Honorable Graham Murray, welcome. Seem you only take interest on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, it's linked to DPWI, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Sure.
And congratulations on your appointment as the new chairperson of this portfolio committee. Chairperson, my question is really around costs and affordability. And while I know that costs and affordability are not the sort of precursors in terms of determining need, one of the big issues that were raised when this illegal occupation started was the fact that it is located very far away from the source of bulk infrastructure. And that Theewaterskloof is a constrained municipality, and that the additional costs that would be required in order to provide services to that area are a prohibitive factor. Now, when I asked Minister de Lille in Parliament 2 years ago, when this thing first started in the old NA building, I asked her whether or not the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure would be able to support the Theewaterskloof municipality in providing those resources, because we knew that the actual municipality itself wouldn't be able to do so. So while it's obviously desirable that there are some resources applied to the area so that they do have access to water and sanitation, and we understand that that is absolutely imperative, the cost implications are massive. And where will the municipality get the money from to actually provide those resources, and who will suffer as a result of that? In other words, we're condoning illegal occupations by providing services, and then people who are already supposed to be getting services because they are part of the IDP or the budget for that municipality are then going to be deprived of the things that they should be getting as legitimate landowners or property holders. So I'd just like to know how they foresee the resourcing of these services going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Graham Murray. Honorable Zamin, is that the legacy hand? Okay.
My apology, Chair.
No problem. Human Rights Commission.
Chairperson, may I come in?
Yes, please come in, Mr. Nissen.
It's Chris Nissen here. Chairperson, may I start with the last one? And then I go through the questions that were asked by the honorable members. First of all, Chairperson, you know, there are so many issues at Knofloskraal, from children who have to walk to school, etc., whereas the education department has got a policy, those 5 kilometers away, they must provide buses for them. So I think in terms of the question by the honorable member asking about whether the TWK, Theewaterskloof Municipality, has got the resources, I have noticed, and I'm engaging municipalities in this province, and I'm talking about other provinces as well, is that the resources that in terms of the IDP, it does not affect the poor. It affects the poor in a very different way, because we do not have a pro-poor budget in our municipalities. And we've asked them to do pro-poor budgeting in terms of the Human Rights Commission's. One of the pillars is to engage all institutions that deals with socio-economic and other rights to make sure there's a pro-poor budgeting. So yes, I do not know, and I've engaged the mayor and the municipality and asked them, are you preparing for this? Are you making sure that not only Knofloskraal, but also the other areas? The second thing, Chair, with regard to land claims, of course, there's a process, and people have been involved in this process. But the sad thing is the issue about 1913. 1913 has cut off the most vulnerable of the indigenous community, namely the Khoi and San. And we've just made a submission to the land expropriation bill, in which I have put my views on it and so on. So yes, there are land claims, and people sometimes just opt for the 20,000 rand and not looking at the land. But most of those occupying Knofloskraal have, to the best of my knowledge, have not been involved in any, they may have been, they opted to say that they want land in terms of the historical nature of Knofloskraal. If you cross the Saloris Pass, there's the old elephant walk, and many years ago, and there was a land surveyor during the colonial time called Kluwer, and his descendants are still there. And I must say, Paul Kluwer is doing a lot of work for the disadvantaged community that have, and that is part of the old the Khoi San trek, as they have been walking with the elephants in the area. So yes, there are the land claims, and people have opted that. With regard to the illegal occupation, honourable members, the South African Human Rights Commission has got a threefold mandate. One, to protect the rights of all people in the Republic of South Africa. Two, to monitor all those rights. And three, to promote all those rights in the Republic of South Africa, which includes also people who are not residents or permanent residents or South African citizens. So we've got that right. But we need to respect the rule of law in this country. And yes, we acknowledge that there is need to access to land, but there are processes that we need to follow to get to those land and to have access to that land. So we do, Chairperson, as the Human Rights Commission, we need to make sure that we respect that. And therefore we engage with this, every community, whether it's Gqeberha, whether it's in the Northwest, Kuruman, whether it's the Northern Cape, all over, Chairperson, we do respect the rule of Makopane. We do respect and say to them, yes, we understand your need for land. And therefore, our members, our staff in every province, the 9 provinces, are engaging the relevant communities to ensure that we do support them to the right to access of land. With regard to, and as I said, with the floods, I mean, Chairperson, we had a great responsibility last year and beginning of this year. And we've got a permanent committee on flood disaster, not only for the KZN, but for all the other provinces in which our staff has been working around the clock. And yes, it's the problem with the you know, the informal settlements is that we still have not dealt in this country with the spatial apartheid spatial development. And so people take land, people go there, and we have not really dealt with it. And we still do to have today development, it's neo apartheid spatial development. And it leaves the vulnerable in the area where they occupy, that makes them occupy where the floods come, then from the hill down, destroy land. Abahlali Basendondolo has been coming to us on a regular basis, complaining about this. I see it on a daily basis, where there's informal settlements, where if there's a fire, it's very difficult for emergency vehicles to come through. It's really difficult. And so, Chairperson, yes, I understand that. With regard to the services, yes, we do need to provide as government. When I say us, I mean, sorry, we're not government, but government must provide at the local level. And as I said, I want to repeat this, Chairperson. The people, even those who occupy lands as farm dwellers and so on, that do not have access to any service, they say to me on a daily basis that people come here, when it's election, they ask us to vote for them and they promise us in their manifestos water, sanitation, electricity. But when we ask for it, the local government says we can't provide it because it's on private land. And I want to thank Minister Dillo with what she did in Marikana, but I wanted to extend that also. Hence, I'm answering, yes, I have had a discussion with Minister Dillo 3 years ago before COVID, when this Knofloskraal started, but I don't know where the Western Cape office, because the Western Cape office doesn't deal nationally with Commissioner Dillo. With Minister Dillo, it's on the Commissioner side, but we will engage the new minister on how best we can work with the leadership. May I just say something about the leadership, Chairperson? I have got so much respect for them that they have managed to ensure that there's not even protests that will stop and close the N2. I've worked with Grabouw, I've worked with Bot River, I've worked with all of them, and many times as a commission we go and stop, trying to open up the N2, because we say non-protesters have also got right. But the leadership currently at Knofloskraal, I've got the greatest respect for them. Chairperson, I hope I've answered all the questions. Thank you.
May I add, try to cover some questions that were not attended to?
Wait, Chief.
Thank you.
You must be noted to speak. There's this end of Matthew Du Plessis here.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to you and to all the honourable members and colleagues from government. Chair, you put me in the unenviable position of now having to speak over my Commissioner Sibanyone, but I.
Oh, he'll make it
I know he'll. Yeah, it should be fine. Thank you, Chair. A quick reintroduction. I'm the acting provincial manager of the Western Cape Provincial Office of the Commission. And insofar as provincial investigations go, those generally progress through our office if we are looking for a bit of a specific outcome. on the matter. So what I wanted to put to you, Chair, and honourable members, is that, well, first of all, just Mr. Paulson's comment. Mr. Paulson, I get where you are coming from, but please, I have to echo the sentiments of our commissioners that we cannot condone or promote any unlawful actions, because no country has ever succeeded or pulled itself out of whatever challenges it has unless the role players have come together and agreed on a rule of law that is followed, and in which there are compromises, of course. But those role players can't just be the different political parties, and the departments that are in place. It does need to involve the communities, particularly in matters like this. So my proposal is that first we please, honourable members, we should not refer to any of these actions as illegal land grabs or invasions, any of those terms. With the legislation in question specifically defines the words used, and it's about more than just political correctness. It's about legal accuracy. The term is unlawful occupation. It's important because the difference between illegal and unlawful, especially in a constitutional context, speaks volumes to what's happening. And just because something is unlawful doesn't mean that it is necessarily terribly prohibited or done with mala fide. Something can be unlawful but still in pursuance of a lawful goal. And that's why the legislation in place still does require, even for an unlawful occupier, that services are provided. And that's something that I think needs to be understood. And what I can tell so far from listening to the honourable members speak and to members of commission and different role players and stakeholders here is that generally I think we all want the same thing, but there doesn't seem to be a plan or a consensus on how best to do that. I'm not trying to throw the litigation out, the baby out with the bathwater, so to say. I understand there is litigation ongoing, but I think that everyone would benefit from a formal mediation process. And while I'm sure attempts at settlement and a mediation have occurred, and this is an ongoing court case, I'm sure they have, I know that the Human Rights Commission, through its provincial office, hasn't tried that yet. And because we have an existing complaint now, we initiated an own accord investigation last month. Following new developments, there were allegations of illegal evictions now happening that I assume are related somehow to the court order, perhaps an interim. But we've sent out letters now in terms of our processes to the municipality and to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. We haven't received responses yet. The municipality got back to us after we followed up saying, sorry, we're late, but our municipal manager will get back to you. But we said, look, there's an issue there because Parliament, the Portfolio Committee has called on us to now discuss this. So we're still awaiting responses there. And I would like to put on the table that the Human Rights Commission is willing to engage in a process more complex than just mediation, perhaps. What we do as the Commission, as part of our recent operational plans, is what's referred to as a strategic initiative, where we utilize the law and stakeholders and numerous processes in terms of our complaints handling procedures to try and address issues. Recently, in Cape Town, there was a similar type of issue brewing. I'm not going to say it was anywhere as complex or as long-lived as this one, or nuanced, I understand that, but it certainly wasn't just a simple case of an eviction. And the Commission was able to mediate there and make progress and really help. So I think that that's a possibility here. I'd like to put that to the honourable members through you, Chair, and let us have it tabled for future consideration, if you please. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honourable Bryant, I see your hand before we give the last opportunity to Human Rights Commission. Every time they try to speak, I pick up contradictions. Honourable Bryant.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. And I tend to agree with you. I have struggled quite a lot to follow the train of thought of the presentations. With all due respect to the presenters, it's just a little bit whether. Also, the questions that we asked haven't actually been answered. I asked one very specific question, which was, has the DPWI responded to the letter that the Western Cape Human Rights team, provincial office, whatever it's referred to as, sent through, and they gave a deadline of the 24th of February. I just want to know if that has been responded to.
Human Rights Commission, I'm going to request that you must be coherent. Your time has actually expired. Please try and summarize in a coherent way, respond to the questions that have been asked by honorable members. But also in your response, please help us understand here. Unless we really don't understand the true value of land, we wouldn't appreciate the people's hunger. What does land really mean for local people beyond living on it or cultivating it? Can the Human Rights Commission explain the difference to us between the indigenous First Nation of South Africa and the Aborigines of South Africa as it relates to land ownership? We take counsel, Mr. Du Plessis sounded more like a lawyer, that we must not use like words which ones must use unlawful occupation of land. And so we agree with all of that. But the Human Rights Commission must also help us because our intention is not to perpetually invite and have discussions and not find a solution to the current problems of the people of Knofloskraal. We want to get to the bottom of this thing and resolve it once and for all. Commissioner Nissen. Commissioner Chris Nissen. Mr. Sbanyon, Commissioner Sbanyon, please come in. I see both your mics are on there. I don't know who wants to speak.
Maybe Commissioner Nissen has got some connectivity problem, but while he's trying to connect and talk to the difference between, I can hear him on the background. I'm going to be very brief in making this the summary to say, as the South African Human Rights Commission, we are mindful that apart from dispossessing land through the wars, remember there were wars of resistance, but the colonialists, and which was followed by apartheid, they were working in terms of the parliament of the day. That's why we're talking about the 1913 Land Act. And then there are also some forced removals. And then they were also following the Group Areas Act and the like. And I want to point out to say, when one looks at the preamble of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, to paraphrase it, it says, we therefore, through our freely representative, that is the people who are now in authority, adopt this constitution as the supreme law of the Republic, so as to heal the divisions of the past, and what is very important, to establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. The divisions of the past, some of them are those of the dispossession of land. And it is, just to quote, among others, what our international icon Nelson Mandela said, it is in your hands now as the freely elected representatives to heal these divisions of the past. And South Africa is regarded as an unequal society. One of the speakers was asking about the people who were affected by the floods. People are living next to the rivers, next to the dams, because of the impact that was caused by the divisions of the past. I can hear Commissioner Nissen battling to come in the background, Chairperson, and he is well versed to ask your specific question, Chairperson, if we can maybe give him an opportunity before you excuse us, with your permission, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Nissen?
Chairperson, thank you so much. Chairperson, you know, the thing about life is and views. The Commission, the Human Rights Commission, is absolutely clear that we cannot any unlawful and disorder, etc., because our mission is to ensure that we bring stability and we establish a program SHINE to build social cohesion. The second thing, Chairperson, is that the Western Cape office received, prior to the acting PM coming there, a number of complaints from Knofloskraal. We've been there on a daily basis. I was there last week. I met with the leadership. I don't think that the Western Cape provincial manager has ever been there. So, but I do not then go in there. Second thing, Chairperson, third thing, with regard to your issue about the land issue. Yes, there is. And yes, there is the issue about price that is fundamental to the socioeconomic rights issues in this country. Fourthly, Chairperson, as the Commission, we cannot get involved when there is a court case. That is, if there's a legal process, the Commission stands back, look at the issues, but then look, while we're looking at it and saying, people that are there, even though it's deemed illegal, the right to water, the right to sanitation, and the right to electricity. And I must say that in this regard, my engagements, no, not despite, but all my engagements with the city of Cape Town, they have at least provided that. And in terms of the question asked by the honourable member with regard to resources and funds availability, they made it available. And I can show you now, during COVID, how they have happened, despite the fact that they took us to court as
Honorable members,
but with the new mayor, we've done, we hope to find around that. But yes, thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I'm going to make a ruling here. There is no coherence in terms of anything that is being presented by the South African Human Rights Commission. We don't know who has been where and how. We are told that the provincial manager was never into a Theewaterskloof and all of that. There is no coherence. I do not get a sense of where we're going with the presentation of the South African Human Rights Commission. I'm going to request that they must go back to the drawing board, come up with a comprehensive presentation of what is actually taking place and what have they done in terms of interventions in the situation that is prevailing in Theewaterskloof. I'm not getting anything at all. Mandela this, and this one was there, this one has never been there. I'm not hearing you at all, South African Human Rights Commission. Please go back, come back. We will invite you to come and give us a proper and comprehensive, a coherent report of the work that you are doing there. Honorable Weber, Honorable Bryant.
Thank you, Chair. You were just
confirming what I wanted to say. They're contradicting each other. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Honorable Weber. Honorable Brian?
Yes, Chair, you've taken the words out of my mouth. I think it's the whole thing was just completely disrespectful to all of the political parties that are here on the platform and all the other presenters who have taken time. And we've actually wasted a lot of time now. And there's just clearly hasn't been much of an effort to actually prepare. There's no coherence. It seems like the members of the HRC are fighting with each other more than anything else. This one hasn't gone there, that one hasn't gone there. So thank you for your ruling. I fully agree with you. We cut it off here and we move on to someone who's actually prepared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Brian. Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Mr. Nissen, please lower your hand.
Chairperson, as I stated earlier, Ms. Penny Penga, who is the Regional Manager for Cape Town, will run the presentation on behalf of Public Works. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. I'm not sure if whether Ms. Makubele's office will be flighting the presentation. Good morning once more, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members. My name is Penny Penwa, as already introduced. I'm the Regional Manager responsible for the Western Cape. Can I try and flight the presentation, Chair?
Yes, you are a co-host. I'm sure you are given the rights to flight.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. The presentation is flighted. I'll go straight to slide number 2. And slide number 2 is dealing with the table of contents. We'll be looking at the purpose and introduction of this presentation. And we'll also provide progress in terms of since the 25th of October, which was the date at which we met with the portfolio committee and the community on site. And also we'll talk to the way forward and conclusion. Honorable Chair, the purpose of this presentation is to provide an update to the portfolio committee in respect of the work that we've done since October 2022 to date in relation to the land invasion. And I would rather maybe say unlawful occupation, to be correct, to be legally correct, unlawful occupation at Knofloskraal in Grabouw, as well as in terms of the last engagement that we had with the portfolio committee and the honorable members, our sister department, DFFE, reported that they intend to relinquish these properties which are affected back to the department. We have been in consultation and talking to the colleagues from DFFE, and they've indicated to us that they're in the process of deproclaiming the subject properties because the properties are proclaimed forestry. So now they need to embark on a process of deproclaiming the same and relinquishing them to Public Works. And also, Chairperson, is that as the department, we are continuously engaging with all the stakeholders to find lasting solutions. In terms of the progress to date, Chairperson, on the 17th of August, as we reported previously, is that there is a joint district and metropolitan approach, which is equivalent to DDM, your district development model, but in the Western Cape is called JDMA. In terms of that, there was a meeting which was held on the 17th of August 22, and that meeting was attended by our honorable minister, then Minister Delil. And amongst the issues which were discussed in that forum, in that forum, the MEC for local development is represented and all the municipalities in the Overberg district. So this joint sitting was in relation to, was focusing on the Overberg district. And amongst the issues which were discussed, Knofloskraal was discussed. And it is at that JDM that the executive resolved that we must form a Grabouw Land Invasion Steering Committee. And that steering committee, it comprises of us, National Department of Public Works, the police, the municipality, Department of Local Government, and the district municipality and the local municipality, the officials, so to speak. So the steering committee, that steering committee has held its first meeting on the 3rd of October, 2022. And this was then followed by further meetings, which we had meetings on the 3rd of November, 2022, 16th of November, 2022, and on the 6th of December, 2022. The meeting of the 16th of November, 2022, we resolved that the community and we've met with the, especially the meeting of the 16th of November, we met with the community where it was resolved that the different groupings, because within that, settlement, you've got a number of groupings, and I think I'll get to that later in my presentations, who are the groupings within that settlement. We then requested them to submit their proposals, for consideration. And we received 2 presentations at the time on the 6th of December. We received a proposal from United Knofloskraal Koi Council, which is KUKKC, and also the Knofloskraal Royal Authority, which authorities are representing the communities within that village. But also now there's another one, there's another grouping which has since been introduced to the department, which is called the Concerned Knofloskraal Citizens grouping, that we have also since recognized as a department, because we are trying to recognize all the formations that are present within that, so that nobody is left behind. In terms of progress, Honorable Chairperson and the members, as I've already indicated, that remember that on the 25th of November, we had that visit, by the Portfolio Committee, the oversight which was held with us as the department, the province, SAPS, the municipality, and the community leadership, which was on the 25th of November, 2022. Subsequent to that meeting, Honorable Chairperson, we then realized that we needed a sort of a coherent approach in terms of dealing with the issues that were coming, in our interactions with the communities, with the various communities. We then came back to the department, and within the department, we consulted on this issue. We've been talking with our provincial counterparts and the province. We sat with them, and we agreed that we needed to solicit an assistance from ISA, which is Infrastructure South Africa, which is an entity of public works, to assist us to drive the social facilitation process, and as well as amongst all stakeholders, as well as the conceptualization of the site development plan of the occupied properties. And ISA has been working with us, with all the other stakeholders. The social facilitators, which is ISA, were briefed on the 6th of December because we had to move, because there's urgency in the matter. As you will see that the dates are very close to each other. So that we've been working since we met with the Portfolio Committee on the 25th of December. Of November, social facilitators were briefed on the 6th of December, and we arranged an in-loco inspection, which was conducted on the 27th of January, 2023. Between the 6th and the 10th of February, 2023, the social facilitation undertook a series of one-to-one meetings. We have since met up with DFFE. We've met up with Theewaterskloof Municipality. We've met up with Knofloskraal Royal Authority, the neighboring farmers, because we've been getting a lot of calls and complaints from the neighboring farmers. We've met with Grabouw Development Authority, which is the agency that is responsible for development in Grabouw. We've met with the United Knofloskraal Koi Council as well. in proceeding, Honorable Chair, in terms of the conclusion and way forward, we are planning another round of one-on-one meetings by the social facilitators, to meet up with which were planned between the 1st and will happen up until the mid of March. Some of these consultations and engagements have taken place. We've already met with the Theewaterskloof political leadership. We've already met with SAPS. We've already met with the ratepayers as well, Grabouw ratepayers. We are in the process of meeting up with SANRAL and Department of Education provincially. And I think it became, apparent that we needed to meet up with SANRAL because the subject properties, the segment, it's along the N2. And in terms of the access points, SANRAL has got to be consulted so that whatever is envisaged on site it factors the requirements of SANRAL as they are responsible for the road. And also there's Department of Education. We understand there are kids that are being picked up at certain points on the road. So we are going to be setting up a meeting with the Department of Education. Also, we have the engagement with SAPS, which seeks to culminate with the establishment of a functional community policing forum to mitigate the criminal elements and maintain order. So that meeting with SAPS, it sought to establish this sense of a community policing forum and to try and mitigate some of the elements that we have been grappling with as a department. And also the police forum to work very closely with the security that we've appointed on site to assist with regard to the design and also access control, on site, because that has been a challenge, Honorable Chairperson and members, access to the property, because as I've presented, previously, that the site is very big, the properties are very huge. And you will think that you have covered all the access points, but you'll find out that, the people, they will find alternative access points. We are also, Honorable Chair, planning a broader and an inclusive community meeting, which is scheduled to take place mid-March 2023, to elect community representatives to form part of the Grabouw Land Invasion Steering Committee. Because we then realized that it's as much as we have met with all these individual groupings, it's going to assist that, we appoint a committee that will be then, looking after the interest of the broader community. But these representatives will be coming from the different formations from site, and I think it will then assist us to move forward. But at the moment, it's very difficult, to conclude on the issues because there's different formations, So the social facilitation process will be concluded by end of April 2023. And then the final report on social facilitation will be submitted to the steering committee, which is the Grabouw Land Invasion Steering Committee, by the end of May. And subsequent to that, the report will then be submitted to the three spheres of government, namely your Department of Local Government, provincial and national, whereafter then we'll be able to develop an inclusive site development plan, and also which will also be assessing the suitability of the land use. Moving forward, Chairperson, with those dates are given. In terms of concluding and way forward, the final site development plan will be presented to the relevant spheres of government, as I've already indicated, that the social facilitation process, the final product of that will be presented, which will then guide us in terms of the development of the site development plan. And I think we'll continue to engage and inform all the interested stakeholders, including this platform, this portfolio committee, once we've conceptualized and there's convergence in terms of how best to deal with the invasion on the property and what would be best for that invasion, having consulted all the relevant parties or stakeholders, because nature conservation, as much as I haven't mentioned them, we have identified them as an important stakeholder. There's also Department of Agriculture that will be, that will be engaging as well, because of some of the, the proposals that are coming, from the communities that we are engaging. Also, something else, Honorable Chairperson, which came very strongly during our consultations with the broader community and especially from the farmers, it was in relation to waste management on site. I will get to the provision of services, is waste management. And because we have EPWP in the program, and fortunately, by the grace of God, for that area, Theewaterskloof has been identified to pilot the waste management program nationally. So we are going to be using that program, to respond to issues of waste management, which has been raised by the farmers because it affects their produce and their exporting. So we will be working with the community, even the beneficiaries, or when we appoint, we will be looking at appointing within, so that there is ownership of the project from the community of Knofloskraal. And lastly, Chairperson, is the issue of the municipality. And I think the previous presentation dealt with that in terms of providing services. This issue has been raised with the municipality formally, and I think they are in the meeting. They will be then in a position to respond on the issue themselves, but it has been raised and there's been a commitment from the municipality. But we are talking here about potable water and potable toilets, not necessarily your laying out of the infrastructure, because that will form part, the infrastructure part, layout will form part of this exercise that we are working on as a department and the other stakeholders. Chairperson, I think that is where I'm going to end it off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Penny. Honorable members. Honorable Weber.
Chair, thank you, colleagues. Thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it. Chair, through you, let's forget we can't forget it's illegal invasion. I am concerned about the amount of money that are being used to try and make this, I can't say legal. I believe in human rights and I believe people need to have water and sanitation. But a lot is being said about the suitability of the land use. So all of this programs are being taken and all of this costs a lot of money. And all of this is happening while the court case is going. And my question will be, what if the court case say no, the people needs to be moved? And all of this has been done. I mean, to do the development, and again, I believe they do what they have to do, but this is a lot being taken place in the sense of looking for the suitability of the land use where people already are living. And this has cost quite a lot of jobs for people where DFFE was going to work and had the forestries there. So I would like to see now Sandal is getting a board, education is getting a board, and again, children needs to go to school. So I understand that. But all of this is happening and we're all developing, and a lot of money is being spent on many programs. So besides my comment, I would like to request DPWI to maybe provide us with a budget of everything and what the cost of everything was until now by running all these different programs. I mean, waste is a service delivery issue. And then my second question is I heard she said she's the lady Penny Pingsa. Thank you for the presentation. That you having meetings with the ratepayers and everything. Is this from the municipality? Because as we're giving the services and EPWP and all this requirements, is anyone in Knofloskraal going to pay rates and taxes for all the services that's going to be delivered? Thank you very much.
Honorable Grabouw.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I appreciate the opportunity again to speak. Chair, just with respect to the presentation that was done, in the Human Rights Commission report, they stated that there were approximately 3,000 people living at Knofloskraal at this stage. Now, Minister De Lille replied to a question to Mrs. Phillips, who used to be, Honourable Phillips, who used to be on this portfolio committee, with respect to the access and control of access, and was advised that she had briefed security companies to prevent new structures, that the half-done structures would be demolished and removed, and that the security companies that had been appointed had fulfilled their brief and done what was required. However, latest reports that I've seen are stating now that there are at least 4,000 people resident at Knofloskraal. So I wanted to know, at least 2-3 million has been spent on access control and the prevention of new structures, and that doesn't seem to be working. So what is DPWI's approach with respect to preventing additional people? Because it doesn't help to develop a site plan this week and next week there are 1,000 more people that you have to address. So we really need to find out what DPWI is going to do differently, because when this thing started, there were about 300 shacks and now there are nearly 4,000 people resident there. So that's my first question. And then the second question I wanted to know is, I might be reading between the lines, but looking at slide 6, the department spoke to the fact that they're looking at an all-inclusive site development plan. This leads me to conclude, we know the DFFE have given the project back to DPWI. They no longer can use that land. But if you look at that last point, it says there, after an all-inclusive site development plan. Am I correct now in assuming that they are now looking at creating a housing development in that area and utilizing that for formal housing going forward, or alternatively taking an informal settlement and upgrading at a later stage? And then, yes, we will definitely be monitoring the waste management program. I think that's a fantastic initiative and certainly something that will be able to be rolled out throughout the country. And it's nice to see that EPWP is being used more effectively in terms of societal needs and infrastructure needs. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Grabouw. Honorable Mbata.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Public Works, for a progressive report. I think you have done put a lot of efforts to try to resolve this. I'm happy with the service delivery, but want to know the cost implications on issues on services that have been rendered there, but also I don't know whether I should wait for the DFFE, because they need to tell us if there's any cost attached to that forest being destroyed, because there was a forest there that was destroyed. What are the cost implications on that forest? Because we went there, we saw it with our own eyes that there was forest that was destroyed. I don't know whether you'll answer it or you'll forward it to DFFE. Thank you, but there's a lot of progress that is being done, and I'm happy with all the service delivery that services that you are rendering there, but there must be cost attached to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mbata. Penny.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and to the questions from the honorable members. With regard to the cost breakdown, I think, Honorable Chairperson, we can provide that to the committee in terms of the various cost drivers. And I think that information will be then submitted to the committee. That's not a problem in terms of the money that we've spent already on site. And also with regard to the issue of rates and taxes, I think it's going to be difficult to preempt now as to what will be the outcome of this whole development, because at the moment we do not know as to what this development will culminate into what. As we are still investigating, there's quite a number of factors that will influence the final product in terms of the site development plan. And then whatever comes out, whoever will then have to be responsible for rates and payment, whoever will be the beneficiaries of whatever is going to happen in that site, because there's quite a number of permutations that we are looking at for that site. And as I've indicated, that we are working with various stakeholders, and especially within the Grabouw area. We've met with the communities. We keep on, we will continue to engage. We've met with Grabouw Development Agency to a point that we've agreed that we need a broader plan, because the area is prone to invasion. So in terms of our land as public works, we need to have a master plan that will talk to all of our land in that area as to how do we see it, achieving, the objectives and goals of the municipality in that region, working with the department. And that is what was brought forward by the Grabouw Development Agency. It's something that we'll be looking at, but at the moment we are focusing on this specific site where the problem is, but it gives us an opportunity to expand the work that we are doing. And we are engaging our colleagues at DFFE to say that DFFE, you must also come up with your own plan when it comes to the plantations, as to what is the plan of DFFE there, so that we can deal with these issues before they happen, so that even the community in that area, they would know about these plans and they would take ownership of these plans. Because at the moment, last week, I think it was last week, we were phoned, we had to go and intervene. People are harvesting, the forestry there. We had to work with the police. We are in the process of getting interdicts with regard to those incidents. So it requires, everybody to get involved, and we hold hands and just deal with the issues, Chairperson. And when it comes to the issue of preventing additional, invasion or occupation, so to speak, this is what we've been requesting from the various, formations and groupings on site, to say that, and this is what this process also seeks to achieve, is that we need to work together, because these communities are residing there. Therefore, they have a role to assist the department to contain, further unlawful occupation on site. And I think there is appreciation from the communities that they want to work with the department. But also, we had a meeting yesterday, and it was agreed that we are going to enforce the containment now. If there are new structures that are erected which are not supposed to be there, we are going to push for the demolition of those structures. Because if we do not do that, it then defeats the whole purpose of having a containment, because we need to contain the situation. But we are also working with the police. We are going to be working with the police, and now it's going to be enforcement, now that we are consulting and working with the various communities. As I've already spoken on what sort of development, as I said, Chairperson, to say that it's too early to say what sort of development we envisage for the site, as we are still busy with the consultations. And I think as we proceed and progress, it will crystallize as to what would become of that site. and it will be presented to the portfolio committee as we are doing today, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. I do not see any follow-ups. I take it that members are fine. South African Police Services.
Good morning, Chairperson. All protocol observed. Thank you, Chair. We can go to the next page. Correct. Thank you, Chairperson. Our presentation is not very long because it is limited to matters that have been registered with the police. This is going to be the map that we are going to follow. You can go to the next page. Thank you, Chair. The intention is to provide the committee with an update on the matters that are under investigation by SAPS. It's common knowledge that on the 13th of September, we appeared before this committee led by the Deputy Minister. And also on the 25th, there was a follow-up of October, a follow-up meeting. On November, also, we were part, as it is indicated by the previous presenter, that we were part of that government community engagement where we were represented by the District Commissioner General Muchologi. I'm not going to waste the time of the chair as to when this thing started and how it started, unless there are new participants. However, we had presented it. I want to focus in the main on the progress that we have done. Thank you. I want to indicate that despite what we have done, the final court order remains a challenge.
Chair, apologies, there's no a presentation lighted here.
Oh, sorry. Chairperson, can I check if it is visible now?
Yes, it is.
Go back. Thank you. This is where I started, Chairperson. Said we are going to speak on this following points that I indicated on the screen. However, the matters, majority of the matters were presented in our first meeting. You can go to the next. Thank you. These are the dates that I was indicating, Chair, to say on the 13th we appeared before this committee, and also there was a follow-up on 25th of October, and also SAPS took part in the government community engagement that was at Grabouw on the 25th of November, as indicated by the previous presenter. The intention, of course, is to provide the update on the matters that are under investigation by South African Police Service. Thank you. I was indicating, Chair, that the absence of final order with regard to the court matter, it remains a problem. These are the interventions that SAPS had at that time, which include daily visible policing, deployment of policing in the event of public violence, integrated crime prevention operations that involve the traffics, the flying squad, and other law enforcement. The public engagements with community leaders and human rights. We have also the weekly meetings addressing the spontaneous and planned service delivery projects, including land invasion. And also we provide assistance, or we provided assistance to the sheriff of the court. And also we have the hotline number where we encourage people to report the matters that need policing. As we were requested in the first meeting, this is the breakdown in terms of what of the costs that were incurred by South African Police Service in terms of overtime and salaries, as well as the fuel, as well as the forces that we had. We had 14 members from the local members from Grabouw, and we got 22 specialized members from public order policing, and we spent a little above 703,000. These are the cases that we have, Chair. In the main, you'll see that is trespassing, but the charges continue to be added, and the final charges can only be added when the charge sheet is being drafted. For example, the first one is trespassing and public violence. And you see the dates that are indicated on the extreme right under the status. All the matters we have concluded investigation, and also including those that are withdrawn, like the first one where people were charged with public violence and the matter was withdrawn. We have submitted them to the DPP. We had engagement with DPP and the local prosecutors, and the decision was made that all the matters must be referred to the Office of the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions. And we have just done that. Where we had arrest, we have got a court going matter. It was a court on the 20th of February. It has since been remanded to the 8th of March for plea and trial. And we are still tracing one of the accused that absconded court. And also there was a question and a request as to what you are doing in order to look at the brains behind the act. We subsequently registered an inquiry. We have got an investigation that is going on clandestinely. However, because of its sensitivity and the methods that are utilized, I am not going to give more information, but our target date is May. However, we are going to discuss with the NPA as to what needs to be done once the investigations are complete, if the final court order will not be out at that time. This slide is this, it talks to the same as the one that I've presented, Chairperson, but it only it is the narrative as to what happened in each case. We have indicated on the conclusions, which I'm going to deal with them later on, at the progress that we have done. We have marked it red. We had problem in getting the affidavit from the sheriff of the court. We have since received the supporting documents, as well as the statement of the sheriff of the court, and it has been filed in all the documents. But I will be repeating myself if I go case by case. This is just a narrative version. You can go to it. Thank you. This one also we had presented, we had shown to the forum, where we indicated that the farm numbers, where is Knofloskraal and where is Charles Grove, and we said as per the court order, the containment court order, the Knofloskraal is excluded. This is just the copy of the certain pages of the first page, certain pages of the High Court order, that is the containment order, which indicates on the next page that which sites are included in the order. Thank you. In closing, Chairperson, those that remain black is the matters that we presented to the committee first. The identified area where the complaint emanates from, that is Knofloskraal, is identified as 335. The High Court order relates to 336 and 445. That is the order that I've just shown. It excludes the Knofloskraal. The pending eviction order hampers the progress in terms of addressing the current containment order, as it directs that no further person may occupy the the land or the site. Then we wanted the list of the people that occupied before and after, which is very important for the purposes of prosecution. Then we have received that survey report from the sheriff of the court that is in terms of the progress. Also, the statement of the sheriff has been obtained and filed in the docket. It is with the TPP. The prayer that we still have is that we need a DPWI and DAF to appoint authorized persons to depose sworn statements for investigation purposes. As much as I've indicated that the investigation is complete, but this is what we call procedural statement that will speak as to what is the importance of this site and what does one do in order to get occupation, and what is the relationship between the two departments. So it is very important to lay the basis during the time of prosecution to the presiding officer, so that if it becomes clear to the presiding officer before the evidence is presented. The erection of appropriate fencing and signage prohibiting entrance to the property should be implemented, as it is a factor considered in the decision by NPA to prosecute the offenders for trespassing. Also, we obtained the clarity that we wanted from the sheriff in terms of his affidavit, but we are not going to get deep into this affidavit because this is the matter that still have to be adjudicated before court. The case dockets that I've indicated in the other slide, the 21st of February, it is the date on which all the matters were referred to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, where at the end of the day, one prosecutor or advocate is going to deal with the matters as a collective, just as a project of Grabouw. That concludes my presentation, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Major General. Honorable members, that is the presentation of the South African Police Services. Honorable Winkler.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to SAPS for that report. What I would specifically like to seek some clarity on is that there were allegations that the unlawful occupations were spearheaded politically. And to add testament to this were public utterances made in the media by the good political party or members of that party around the unlawful occupation. I would just like to know how far the investigation is into that, and have those who have publicly uttered that they have, I think, spearheaded this or encouraged this unlawful occupation actually been brought to task. The case number, I'm not sure if I have it here, I don't, but the inquiry was launched on the 1st of September 2022. If perhaps they could answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Winkler. Honorable Weber.
Two questions. First question is just on one of the cases that you have is here actually on the slide show the second last one on the 14th of November 2020 that saves the arrest. And the case was withdrawn because they couldn't find the driver. It's 2.5 years later, a warrant was served to this person. My question is just, this seems to be pending on whether the driver will come to court or not. How come it takes so long to arrest the person? Because it seems you do know who they are. That's my assumption. Then my second question is, on your last slide, where the police was supposed to stop people from entering, and then they start demolishing half-built or start the building process, and they were stopped by DPWI. I'm still interested to know why DPWI stopped them, but my actual question is, were you stopped in breaking down the buildings, or were you stopped to stop people from entering? And this links onto my question of Honorable Maria earlier on. originally there were 300 people and now there's about 1,000 houses. So are people now free to enter and just start building houses and keep on trespassing? Or is the police still trying to stop people from entering? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Winkler.
I'm still Weber, Chairperson.
Oh, Honorable.
We're not married just yet.
It's fine. I'm trying to arrange for you, Honorable Weber. Just on my side, Major General Makashalal. In case where there's an offense of trespassing, from your point of view, does the law separate between individuals who innocently stray into forested areas and those who want only to enter for plantation forests for other reasons? I think there's a need to be clarified here. They need to clarify the offense of trespassing. Otherwise, it would just be seen as wasting of taxpayers' money by conducting unnecessary investigations. I'm sure it will be very helpful to the committee. Major General.
Sorry, Chair, if I may, sorry, I did raise my hand again and I am my sincerest apologies. Will you allow me to ask one other question, please?
You are still Honorable Weber. Please proceed.
Thank you. Yes. Honorable Chair, through you to our SAPS, I would just like to throw this question in. What is stopping any other communities of doing what is happening at Knofloskraal anywhere else? And then all of this is just happening again. What is the police aware? Do they have a plan that something like this doesn't happen anywhere else? I know it's a broad question, but it seems that this is something that's happening. So are they aware of it, and do they have a plan of action in stopping this if it starts immediately? Thank you.
Thank you. Major General Makashalal.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe I need to start with this one. SAPS has got a plan to deal with any eventuality. However, when it comes to the eviction of the people, we assist the sheriff. We do not evict people. However, we provide assistance. Coming to the point of the trespassing, maybe an innocent person and the person that is doing something. It is quite tricky because I think it is very important to, maybe the PC will want to come on that as the law person, but I find it would be very difficult to prosecute a person who walks next to my house without any intentions, if the intention cannot be proved. However, it is not always easy to prove that the person had intentions or had no intentions. But I think the circumstances, the merits of each case will determine whether the person is criminally liable for what he was doing. On the question of the occupation being spearheaded by political people or community, I've indicated that we have got that last inquiry which aims at investigating the brains behind or the instigators. Possibly that will be in that category. However, it depends on the evidence that you are able to gather that proves the criminality on the part of the people. But we are looking at other matters beyond what has been reported to South African Police Service. On the long outstanding arrest, yes, the warrant was issued in respect of the person that failed to come to court. We still continue tracing that person. And there was one stage where he was reported to have ran to Lesotho. However, we have not stopped because we're using all the means that we have in order to search that person wherever he might be. We have not given up hopes of rearresting him. I'm not sure if there's one question that I've left. Okay, on the one where the sheriff was obstructed or was caused to stop by the department, that one I would request now that the sheriff is our potential witness. So I would request that maybe we do not scrutinize that further, as we might get into the contents of the statement, and that might cause possibly the reluctance on his part to provide or to give evidence. So I request that maybe, as much as that man appears to be a phony one, but I think it will be best answered before the court of law, because the prosecution and the presiding officer will be definitely very interested in some of the aspects when his evidence is analyzed. Thank you very much. I'm not sure whether the provincial commissioner wants to patch up some areas.
Lieutenant General particular.
Thank you, Chair. It just that's one thing that I want to stress. The land invasion and the trespassing depends on the owner of the land. If the landowner complains to us that somebody is trespassing, we have no way of dismissing that until we investigate that and it gets to the public prosecutor to decide whether to prosecute or not. So as to whether a person who is innocently walking across in the farm or somewhere, but we still have to investigate that complaint. Now, if it happens anywhere where the land invasion is actually, for us, it is an active part, because there has to be a complainant, because we don't own the land, and the landowner must complain and must go, if that person has erected some structures of more than 24 hours, must go to court and apply for eviction, which the sheriff will then say, then we then protect the sheriff. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pategile. Honorable members, are there follow-ups? Honorable Mbata, I saw your hand, unless you are fine.
Chair, I realized that it was for public works, unless you can allow me to raise it.
I'm not too sure if they're still in the platform. I see Ms. Makubela is still here.
Yeah, then I wanted to ask the issue there of waste management. Yes, it's a good service delivery, but I think it lies with the Department of Forest, Fisheries and Environment. And I believe when they presented it, they presented that as part of their issues that they have done. I wanted to ask whether it's a DFFE involved in waste management, as they are the custodian of the waste management under the DDG of Chemicals and Waste Management. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Grabouw.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I was also, I also wanted to ask a question that linked in with Public Works, and then I saw that Ms. Pinkter had left the platform, but seeing as there are still Public Works people, in the slide on at the end, SAPS spoke about the fact that they needed fencing and signage to be erected as in order to make the case stronger for trespassing. I just wanted to know what the status is of that and whether or not there was originally signage. In other words, how do you prevent people from accessing a property that isn't clearly demarcated? So are there clear demarcations in the absence of signage and fencing? If not, how are we establishing whether or not there has been a contravention in terms of trespassing? And then what is the status of the fencing and signage that is required in order to ensure that the case for trespassing is strengthened? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Graham-Murray. Should we start with South African Police Services? If there aren't questions that are related to you, let's get Ms. Makubele.
Chairperson? I'm still in the meeting. It's Ms. Pengwa.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Enkosi Chairperson. I think I'm going to start with the issue of the fencing and the signage. There was signage on the property, as the honorable members would understand, that property was reserved and earmarked for DFFE, and it was a proclaimed forest. So there was signage to that effect, indicating as to who is the user and what for. But I think now that DFFE is in the process of deproclaiming, I think it's something that we, as the colleague was presenting, we said we are going to look at maybe putting up signage in relation to Public Works being the owners of the property. But fencing, remember it at the last meeting when we presented, we indicated the cost implications, because the sites, the properties that are involved are very, vast in terms of the extent, and it's not going to be financially feasible, to fence the properties. It's going to cost the state so much money, and there are no guarantees that the fence will remain and last. For that matter, we've seen in many other instances whereby you put up a fence, the next day it's gone in some of our projects as Public Works. So we have investigated that already when we were working with DFFE on the issue of securing the site, and the security became the best next possible alternative. On the issue of waste management, I've got my colleague here, Mr. Gusha, who's the director responsible for EPWP. He's just walked in, and the question is whether on the waste management project is DFFE involved, as they are the custodian of that in this program. If you may allow me, Chairperson, if Mr. Gusha can just respond to that question.
Morning, Chairperson and colleagues. The DFFE is not involved in the project because the project is funded by local government, and they were requesting EPWP and MISA to assist in terms of rolling out the program. DFFE, we've never met with them so that they can have a contribution or input around the project.
But what are you planning to do that?
If there is a need to bring them on board, we still continue with the project. We'll bring them to the committee that is running the program so that they can be part. Maybe we can assist in other areas that they are implementing.
Thank you, Chairperson. Those are our responses to the two questions, unless I've missed any other question.
Okay. Honorable Mbata.
Chair, there is a need. I wanted to correct Mr. Gusha when he says if there is a need, there is a need. Please let's involve them, because they are also part and parcel of this problem of this area. Please involve them. Thank you.
Okay, that's a statement. It's not really, does not need a response. The Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. Thank you very much, Department of Public Works and South African Police Services. I'm sure it will be in your interest to remain in the meeting so that you hear how we conclude. Minister Chrissy.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm going to invite Ms. Phumeza Nodada just to give an update on where we are with handing back this land to the Department of Public Works. Because, as you know, we will be exiting the situation, the DDG.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, and good morning to you, the Deputy Minister, Honorable Chair and members. I hope I'm audible. I'm seeing something that my network is not good. Please do alert me if my network fails me. Chair, without wasting time and maybe repeating in terms of the issues that have been raised in terms of the background, I would like to just go straight to slide 4, where we are giving an update of where we are. I think in the previous discussions with the portfolio committee, we had indicated that due to the extent of the invasion in the area, we were unable, or we are unable to continue with the forestry activities there. So based on that and the land and the legal opinion that we subsequently received, we then started the process of returning the land back to the user department, which is the DPWI in this instance. So our process will, in terms of the direct management of this land, will end as soon as we have signed the notice to release in terms of section 50 by the minister, and then we will gazette that notice, and then it will also be sent through to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Also, Chair, I think in the previous meeting we had committed that we would want to ensure that the transfer of the land is finalized by the end of this financial year. We are on track on that, and we are in the process of finalizing the process such that we complete the whole process by the end of the year or of the financial year. I think the next 3 slides are just showing the areas that are affected and the extent of the land invasion itself. So that is all from our side, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, DFFE presentation. Honorable Weber.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the Department of DFFE and the Minister. I know this was a complicated and a long process. I have asked in a previous meeting, I would like to know how much money the department have lost by the forestry that's not taking place there anymore. How much we've lost by the invasion, in the sense of then obviously a lot of trees were cut down and used. And then I also would like to know the whole process. Have we found other land where we can make this up with, and where are they moving to? Or are they still in the process of that? And yeah, how much land is it that we've lost, or forestry land that we've lost that we could have used? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Weber. DDG.
Chief, they can't give me the budget now. They can give it back to me in an answer, in a written answer. Thank you.
Chair, if I may say something.
Sure, proceed, Minister.
I think Ms. Nodada might be able to tell you the hectares, but obviously not the potential value of the timber crop. We can come back to you on that. But I think the real issue here, colleagues, is that the intention, the department's intention with regard to the category B and C forests was to enter into owner-grower relationships. And those owner-grower relationships would have provided opportunities for those who may historically have been laborers in timber growing areas, or else those who would have an interest in horticulture to make a long-term living from this process. So we are not acquiring new land, Honourable Weber. This land is lost to forestry. It's lost to the owner-grower project, and that's how it is. But I think that we have made this decision. The time has come to move forward, and whatever other decisions that get decided by local government and public works, of course, will be entirely in their domain. But we are exiting this situation, and it is sad that we won't be able to facilitate owner-grower livelihoods, but that is the only decision that is possible under these circumstances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think Honorable Weber had already made that point, Minister. Should be comfortable even if you can provide a written response. Okay, there are no more hands. Lieutenant General Pategile.
Thank you, Chair. I would hate to speak after the minister has spoken, but the request that we wanted on the last page of the authorized persons from these two departments to depose affidavits for our investigation. Can we then ask for a commitment that we'll get, because it's been outstanding for a while now? Thank you, Chair.
This is the commitment on what, Lieutenant General?
We requested that the two departments, Public Works and for Fishery and Forest and Environment, to have somebody that could depose affidavits in respect of our investigation, so that we can finalize this investigation and take it to the purpose of a decision.
Okay. Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, and the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to provide you with a post affidavit, you said?
Certainly, said the person that will depose the affidavits, and what name, so that we can be able to obtain those affidavits for our investigation purpose.
Okay, Minister, when you
switch last time, and if it can be expedited, we shall appreciate that. Thank you, Chair and the Minister.
Minister Chrissy.
I'm sure Lieutenant General Patekile is well versed with our law enforcement officials, and I know we have good cooperation between ourselves and the South African Police Services on other matters, so I'm sure he knows who to contact on our side. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, the deposed affidavit.
I think, Honorable Chair, if they can just give us the name of the person whom we should respond to with regard to that, it will be furnished.
Okay. Dr. Pategile.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, the Minister. It will be Major General Kashalala. And I think we will send the email address where we can be given. Chair, thank you very much.
Okay. Let's hope it gets done, so that next time when we meet, South African Police Services don't tell us that they could not conclude because they are still waiting for an affidavit, both from Infrastructure and Public Works and DFFE. Right. Municipal Manager, is the Mayor here now? Theewaterskloof.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. I can go and try and get him out of the other meeting. He's not with me at the moment still.
How long will that take?
Chair, less than 1 minute. It's just next door.
It's 11:50. So at 11:51 you start shooting. Honorable members will take a 1 minute comfort break. Honorable C, in the meantime.
Yes, Honorable Chairperson, thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson, I realize that this matter that we've been discussing now for almost 1.5 hours more than our allotted time is a very, very important matter because it involves communities and various departments. I'm seeking guidance now on time management. We have 3 other items, which according to our agenda should take us 3 hours. If we had concluded item 2 at 10:30. So I'm seeking your guidance as to how we are going to proceed, Chairperson. Not only because, I did request to leave at 1, but the minister also requested to leave at 1 o'clock. And you know that the iSimangaliso matter is very close to my heart because I've done site visits, etc. there. And the communities are in distress. So I just seek your guidance on how we should proceed. Postpone the matters or whatever. And if we look at time, it's almost 12 o'clock now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. My belief was that we should be done with the matters of Theewaterskloof after the presentation of the municipality and the responses by Knofloskraal. And then we could prioritize iSimangaliso and then go to South African National Biodiversity Institute. But let's just push and see how far we can go. It is my assumption or my conviction to try and push that we finish by 1 so that honorable members are able to travel to Parliament and attend the National Assembly. Let's push in the next hour and see how far we can go without really doing injustice to other presentations, failure which we will have to reschedule.
Thank you,
Is
Chair.
that fair?
Thank you for the guidance. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Municipal Manager.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. I am back. The Mayor has spoken with the Speaker of our Council, so we've got Councillor Derek Apple, who's here to respond. Honorable Chair, thanks.
Councillor Derek Apple, does he have his own gadget or is with you in the same hall?
Chair, he's here with me in my office. He's the gentleman that you can see on the video.
Okay. Can we then get a presentation from Theewaterskloof? Who's doing it? Is it yourself or is it Councillor Apple?
Chair, we don't have a presentation. We were only informed of our response to all the points that were raised in the meeting. So Councillor Apple will be doing it and then I'll add at the end.
Councillor Apple, welcome. Thank you very much for leaving that meeting and prioritizing this one. We truly appreciate it. There are a number of issues that have been raised by the Human Rights Commission, the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, South African Police Services, and the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. It is our belief that you are also very conversant with what is happening in that municipality. Over to you, Councillor Apple. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good afternoon, all the honorable members and all stakeholders part of this meeting. Yeah, let me just first start with the elephant in the room, Knofloskraal. On the issue of providing services and promises that was made, let me just state it here that the Deputy Mayor got no authority or power to make any promises on behalf of the municipality. So that promises that he made, it's not a decision of this council caucus or the coalition government within Theewaterskloof. That's his own promises. And he will obviously need to account for that promises. As I've said last week, when the team of Public Works with the service provider who's making an assessment on all these things met with my office, we got no issue to take the land, but we can't take the land without money. that land needs proper money to put in infrastructure. And that is our main issue. And we are still there. We are not going to take land from anybody and the people that is then on that land, and everything else becomes our problem. Because there were political parties there in the past who went there to play politics and make lots of promises before the local government elections, and now they are nowhere to be seen. But we as Theewaterskloof understand the issue of basic services to all. Where we are sitting is that we don't have the money to give basic services there. It's also not our land. I'm coming out of a budget meeting now, and there's nothing on that budget for Knofloskraal because it's not our land. And we don't have the money to budget for Knofloskraal. Also, I think it's going to be important for us to also have a discussion with the new Minister of Public Works also on this issue, because I don't want to go into any detail on the issue, but there was some politics playing out of that, the Department of Public Works. So we really want to have a discussions also with the new Minister of Public Works that was appointed last night by the President. So I think that's where we are. I understand where Umfundi is coming from, the Human Rights Commission, and in the importance of giving people services. But we must also understand that with everything that is happening, load shedding and all these things, all municipalities, I mean, we are dry. We are dry. I mean, we are hiring generators everywhere, paying lots of money for diesel and all these kind of things. So if we get budget from provincial or national government and we get the land, then we can take the land and do that. But without that, we don't want that land. That's the view of council. We don't want that land because there's no money for that will be given to us. We are not going to take land, and there's already people on there, and it's becoming our problem as the local authority to give services. But if there's commitment from national government to give us resources to look after and put proper services in there, I think also it will be obviously the role of government nationally, provincially, and local government to work together to find solution to the issue of Knofloskraal. And I think that's why we are here. But I'm just giving you the view of the Council of Theewaterskloof. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, Councillor Apple at your disposal. MM, you wanted to add something?
Honorable Chair, I think most of the points are covered by the speaker. Chair, it's just to reiterate that in terms of the provisional services, I think it's key to mention that we do have constraints in terms of the budget, and Chair, to also confirm that Public Works spoke earlier on and indicated that there were meetings that we form part of the steering committee that is in Chair. It is indeed correct. But Chair, I think in terms of the way forward from us as a municipality, as the speaker has alluded, in terms of the funding, it's a major obstacle for us. And we are in a constant communication with Department of Local Government in the province of the Western Cape to try and see how we can try and remedy things within the constraints that we've got in terms of budget. But Chair, that's just my addition. Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Weber.
Thank you, Chair, very much. Chair, thank you to the municipal manager and the speaker. I have a great concern that, if I understood correct, the Department of Public Works said that they were in meetings and they made it clear that they're not talking about permanent infrastructure, but they were talking about portable water and portable toilets, whereas the speaker now spoke about there's no money for infrastructure. So if like the municipal manager said now that they are in meetings, that is a big discrepancy to me. It's there must be a misunderstanding. So that's the first thing I want to say. I'm a little bit confused about that. Then the second point is surely the municipality cannot be responsible for land that does not belong to them. So I agree that money must come from whoever land it is, if it's a national department or so who is then responsible for providing the services if it's not the local municipality? And where will that budget come from if it's not from the municipality? We do understand the money constraints to that. So the issue here is whose land it is, and from my understanding, the land now belongs only to Public Works. So surely they must be responsible for that. And then because services is a basic human right, but we do have laws, and that's why we have municipalities and the demarcation of them and the boundaries of them. That's the two things I want to say. Thank you, Chair.
Further takers, honorable members. Councillor Apple or Honorable Mbata?
Chair, I've just realized that we have a serious problem with that area. If the municipality doesn't have resources or funds to render services, then we have a problem. Then I think it goes back to that DPWI must try and liaise with the COGTA. Is it COGTA or the one at the province and the national to see how best can they resolve it? Because really, if there are no resources to render services there, like it was presented that there are services there that are being rendered, it is a serious crisis for us that needs our urgent attention. Thank you, Chair.
Afternoon.
You know, from where I'm seated, I'm picking, there are serious contradictions from all the presentations that we have interfaced with today. South African Human Rights Commission goes to the east. Department of Public Works and Infrastructure goes to the west. Now the municipality is going international. We are really plunged into crisis in what is happening in Theewaterskloof. And this situation cannot be left unattended. And we should be unequivocal in resolving as a portfolio committee that we want solutions to what is happening in that municipality, and we want them as soon as yesterday. We've been to Theewaterskloof, and what we saw there and what is being said to this portfolio committee today is completely contradictory. Councillor Apple, I'm sure you're going to help us.
No, we are here to assist in finding a solution to the problem. Okay, we are not. I think we are. This coalition government is in government for a year and more a year and a half, more or less, and we are really want to serve all our residents of Theewaterskloof. But I don't want to go back how this whole Knofloskraal you got all the detail, how it was established and what happened. But the issue is, the reality is that there is 5,000 people there, and we don't have the money to give them the basic services. That's the reality that we are faced with as the municipality. In fact, the reality more is that they are not even featuring on our budget, that the future budget for 2023-2024, because council are now in a workshop, a 2-day budget workshop. discussing budget and how to fine tune so that we obviously we can cover everything and deal with our issue, our service delivery issues and all these kinds of things. So I'm just giving you an honest view. So if national government is saying to us or provincial government is saying to us, no, there is the resources, then tomorrow we will activate, but where we are sitting now is that we can't even make that commitment. That's why I have read the emails. I don't know why the deputy mayor would go to that extent and on behalf of the municipality make promises like that. He needs to explain himself to my office also as well. But we don't know why I have done that, because we don't have resources to deal with the issue of Knofloskraal. And the principle, as I said, we will only take the land if there is resources to give our people services. If we take the land and say, yes, we will have the N2 closed down every day because we can't give the community services there, and that is our problem. We must now, in fact, we're inheriting this problem, but that's where we are standing. If we don't want to go to the community and promise them we're going to give them services when we can't give them services, because that will anger them and they will then close the N2. So that's why I'm saying we need to find a solution to really remedy this, what is going on at this kind of, on this thing. And maybe then we will come back from that international stand of us and be a local, but that's where we are at this moment.
Honorable members, it leaves us with no option. I know we must go to Knofloskraal responses, the leadership there. But we will have no option because the department that we are tasked to provide oversight on has presented to us that they have handed over this matter to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. And now COGTA must come on board. So we will have to write to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure together with COGTA to get into the bottom of the matters of Knofloskraal. What we are tasked to provide oversight on is the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, which has handed over this matter. So after the responses by the leadership of Knofloskraal, we will have to make a determination and take a decision on what needs to happen. Honorable Weber, that should be the last hand, and then we take the leadership of Knofloskraal.
All right, thank you, Chair. I just would like to say that I would really like to hear from the Department of Public Works what their response is to the fact that I don't think, and I don't know which word to use, is to try and force a municipality to actually take responsibility. Not only is it not theirs, we know there is a big pressure on municipalities due to various reasons to take so many people on, which also will not be able to pay rates and taxes. So even if they provide the services, they won't be able to maintain it. So I would really like to see what the plan is of Public Works. Chair, I don't know how we can request that, of actually really dealing it, just trying to, and due to a lack of a better word, force a municipality to take responsibility. It is, I mean, I listen to them and I can see they're so stressed, they want to, but there is no ways to do this. So I would like us to request Public Works to come up actually with a different plan. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm sure you must have heard what I said, Honorable Weber. Minister?
Chairperson, sorry, with respect to you in the committee. Chair, can I please release some of our entities, because it's very clear that we're not going to get to them today, and we can't have so many senior managers locked in this meeting not doing any work for 3 hours. if you think we will still get to iSimangaliso, could we release all other officials and entities, please?
Can we release everybody else except iSimangaliso, Honorable Minister?
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Honorable Weber, we will conclude this matter properly just after the responses by Knofloskraal royal authorities. KRA, it is now your opportunity. Knofloskraal Royal Authority.
Kait says, Kait Koas, Mbamba, Moro Moro. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Chairperson Modisi, just two things before we formally start is just to say, you know, we understand what Minister Creasy has just said, but I mean, we've also been very patient to listen to everybody's input, like the delegates, maybe just to hold on for another 10 more minutes, but if not possible, be that as it may. Also to allow us to share our presentation like we've been awaiting patiently. That's the first thing. Am I audible?
No, you're audible, you're just missing the point. The minister, there are entities that are scheduled to present to the committee. In particular, the South African National Biodiversity Institute. It has nothing to do with matters of Knofloskraal. Now, that is what the minister is requesting.
Okay, great, perfect. Thank you so much for that. I wish to observe all protocols, all the kings and the queens, and as well as the princes that are present here with ourselves, as well as maybe just express our gratitude for the Theewaterskloof Municipality for allowing us the space to ensure a stable connection to share with all of you. We've got prepared a presentation, and we just have about 5 matters of remarks that we wish to make. The first one is to Mr. Mark du Plessis. Just shukran kaya gangangs, thank you for the correction in terms to ensure that we use the correct terminology. You had mentioned it's unlawful occupation, because every time, and I want everybody to take cognizance, we've been saying it repeatedly in various meetings, the minute that you speak of illegal or invaders, there is this trigger inside the human body which speaks of generational trauma, you know, and so when one speaks, the projection might come out differently, but let us just be cognizant of, you know, the terminology as we go on, but also as we learn, as we engage each other. So just thank you to Mr. du Plessis for that. And then just number 2, with regards to our human rights, as the speakers have spoken. Chairperson, our elders and ourselves are tired. It's been 2 years, and to come into this meeting towards the end where Theewaterskloof Municipality has spoken, after 2 years, we are at this point where we are, you know, the buckets are being shifted, but our tiresome and tiredness are the elders that has to dig holes to do their business in that hole. And that same hole that they've digged themselves in terms of a bucket system, we need everybody on this panel to hear us. We are tired. Then number 3 was, I think Public Works has mentioned the JDMA steering committee. In terms of consultation, there is a portion where it excludes the community. And I just heard that Leader Penny has mentioned that they are going to come onto Knofloskraal and then elect the leadership to form part of that committee. Our stance is just, there are leadership on Knofloskraal. Why the department has to come in and to elect leadership? What does that make everybody? What does that make everybody else? And then just on the point of ISA, the social facilitators, where they came to do a presentation around the proposed methodology of a possible way forward. And in our very initial first meeting, we have shared with them that there is a missing link, and a very big one within the presentation, and that speaks of our culture, our customs, and our traditions. There's no mention of any of that within the presentation, and we wanted them to go back to the drawing board and just insert or get support from the UNDRIP, the IOL 169, consider those documents and educate yourselves to understand how to work with indigenous communities at the end of the day. This is not being done, but we are looking forward to their comeback. And then I just wanted to just make a correction maybe for Leader Penny. The intervention that took place last week, because we were there, it's not specifically on Knofloskraal, it's just further. Excuse me?
I'm sorry, proceed.
Okay, sure. So just a correction to Leader Penny, the intervention that Public Works had to come out to Grabouw. It wasn't Knofloskraal per se, it was just further up across an area opposite Kromko. So that had nothing to do with the Knofloskraal per se. So then I'm just going to proceed to the presentation. So we're going to talk around a few points just to provide yourselves an update, because last you met with a Unity Council. So I'm going to provide you with an update, just the project aims and objective. And we speak of project, we speak of Knofloskraal, the project. And then our futuristic approaches, some achievements, because we also, there are many challenges, but we wish to share with you today that the achievements that has been made, because we are not on Knofloskraal to pluck. Yeah. We are there to, practice our culture and our traditions and to project a positive image of what we came there for. And that includes also a portfolio of evidence. So just with regards to the update, it's a known fact that Knofloskraal has been reclaimed as ancestral land with historical backup. Other parties to the court case suggest otherwise, but we have now heard from Mr. Du Plessis of what that should be. As of the 14th of September 2022, all leaders were called to a unity meeting in our sacred space called a kraal, where we had only one agenda point, which was unity. Out of that, a unity council has been established, which consists of all formations, and that includes royal houses as well as organizations. The intent of the unity council specifically was to serve as an interim body for about 6 months, with a particular outcomes to aid unity and to create cohesion to eventually end up with a traditional authority. That is why today you are speaking with Knofloskraal Royal Authority. All formations, again, has been invited to a bosberaad. It's where we sit around the campfire and discuss matters. That bosberaad, it lasted about maybe a month. And in there was also unity talks, but more so to organize ourselves to govern Knofloskraal. Naturally, some of the organizations, or as they call themselves, civilians, has a particular view and are not for the culture, yet the persons that has reclaimed the land has provided them with land. Hence, you have all these various groupings on Knofloskraal. The Knofloskraal Royal Authority has been birthed as it was intended 14 September, consisting of royal houses, bloodlines in particular, and it includes the reclaimers of the said land, who also serves as respondents at High Court. All other groups we do acknowledge absolutely, because they are part of our indigenous or our indigeneity, as well as part of our brown people. But we are saying that all those parties that came afterwards were given land by the reclaimers in the first place in any case. Moving along in terms of our aims and objectives, just to say that we have taken cognizance of the time and we do have a timer. So Knofloskraal Royal Authority is focusing on multi-sectorial programs on Knofloskraal. And the main aim of these programs are to empower indigenous communities to fight the scourge of poverty with its accompanying social skills. Some of the objectives, for those of you who have not heard our side before, is to continuously seek opportunities for indigenous communities upliftment, to contribute to government's mandate of poverty alleviation, and to actively contribute to the Khoisan community development initiatives, as well as to provide training, development, creating awareness around the advancement of an identity that's been stolen many years ago, and to revive that culture of the Khoi and the Sun. We also wish to support development and implemented projects by Indigenous women, and more particular our youth, to allow our culture not to extinct, to create small businesses with focusing on empowering and strengthening leadership of Indigenous women through awareness, collaborations, and other methodologies. Just a few of these that I'm going to mention. Our value proposition is to provide nutrition for our kids at school, to involve and teach the children their connection with the soil and its value, changing their lifestyles. But also, we know that we are in a protected biosphere, and we know that the Indigenous community are the only missing link to that biosphere. So we also, part of our value proposition is to environmentally sustainably organize ourselves, as well as economic and social well-being, the Indigenous knowledge to preserve our heritage and our natural resources. So this project that we are referring to, what does it entail? This is just a few examples of what is happening. There's lots of community consultation taking place, creating a database. Who is there? How many are we there? What are the skill set amongst our people? We've engaged as an authority with various stakeholders, government, as well as the farmers. We have engaged with DFFE extensively, as well as with SAPS. The only missing pending engagement is the GDA. We've also had meetings with the security itself with regards to breaking of structures, also allowing us to understand whether they understand their mandate versus what the court is projecting. We are also initiating projects and programs, which we'll share with you, pictures thereof, capacity building and training, practicing our customs, our traditions of the Khoi and the Sun, as well as awareness campaigns, of which I've mentioned earlier on. We deal on a daily basis with conflict resolution, and we also promote household food security and national food sovereignty. Our team is, we have, you call it the stamhoof of the Knofloskraal Royal House, is King Richard Isaacs, also the first respondent of the court. Then we have the onder stamhoof from the New Inquay Royal House, Queen Eloise Dressau, and you can see her to my left. We also have the Hessequa Indigenous Royal House, King Moaad van der Schuyf, Klipfontein Aboriginal Royal Kingdom, also in presence here today, led by Prince Cyril Adriaanse. We have the Nama Kingdom and the Grabouw Khoisan Raad, Prince Hendrik Fredericks, as well as the Goronaikwa Cultural Council, led by Gaup Derek Erasmus. These are just a few pictures in terms of the work that has been taking place. We've also engaged the Premier Alan Winde around certain issues, and we will address them in our futuristic approach, which is the last slide. This was recently at the bottom, a picture where we have engaged ISA, as well as all formations of leadership on Knofloskraal. Then these are the pictures in terms of, we have started a communal garden. We have entered into a partnership with an NPO of Constantia to teach our people their connection with the soil. We are accredited with AgriCETA to do the plant production, animal production. And this project is also in aid of unity and cohesion, not just the leadership, but also amongst our community members. On the left, we have started an Indigenous nursery. As we do have I think they call it a red list of Cape Nature, of those plants that are, we need to preserve them. So we're very cognizant of what it is that we are aiming to do. So we started that nursery. The last picture on the right, we have involved some of the farmers. We've also reached out to working on fire so that they can, so that we can start already with a fire management plan, of which we are busy with, of all the what do you call, community members. And it is inclusive of all the leadership, because it has included all their specific followers. Again, all of these projects are in aid of unity and creating cohesion. We're almost done. Then, to enhance our communication with so many that has been said on Knofloskraal, we've created a newsletter Our second edition has just been released yesterday around certain topics. Say, for example, the next edition, what we've determined in this meeting will go into that newsletter. The picture on the right, we've also gotten sponsors for, in particular, the elders that has to use a wheelbarrow literally to get water. We have gotten these hippo rollers. It's SABS approved. It's about 90 liters consumption of water. You know, just to keep it easy, some of them feel like they're going on shopping when they use these hippo rollers, which is very significant. So we are looking at short term, you know, we're not looking really, we are looking at the big things, but surely as a government and all spheres of government, there are things that you are able to support Knofloskraal with without having to look at the big things at the end of the day, or at least this is what we're trying to project and display. Then also in terms of our culture, we have a particular ceremony called the Nyao. It's a sacred ceremony, a ritual where we step into the kraal to, how can I say this sensitively? It's a sacred passage where we, you know, we rid of that name so-called colored and we embrace our heritage of the koi and the sun. So this is just a picture of the Nyao and what takes place. Our last slide in terms of the way forward, or as we call it, our futuristic approaches. For KRA, we have for ourselves, that's my 10 minutes, so I've done well. Just in conclusion, colleagues, we request our human basic needs to be prioritized. We're not going to go into that again because 2 years later, there's still the bucket system for Knofloskraal. We request the culture to be respected by all spheres of government, to be acknowledged as a cultural village because we are there, we are not going anywhere. To continue consultation with various groups and aid unity. We have taken it upon ourselves as the KRA to do just that. To enhance the ecotourism within the Elgin Valley as we are in a protected biosphere, as I've mentioned before. And we are there. So, and we are also saying that the Koi Sun and the village itself completes that biosphere. Our ask of all spheres of government is for public works, and I can see, I just also wanted to thank them for their presentation around all the work that has gone in there. That's very important to mention. To conclude, and of the provided expectations as of December 2022, SAPS, we wish to ask them to be more vigilant on Knofloskraal, especially seeing the expense of theirs of 700,000, which was it was astounding to us, but we would ask them to be more vigilant on Knofloskraal. And Theewaterskloof Municipality, I think the speaker was very clear in terms of their dire need of support and the money issue, and also the fact that we are not on the cards in terms of their budget that's been projected as of April. So, you know, we are saying TVK needs the support with basic municipal services like waste removal, sanitation, and maybe public works can support them with a servitude agreement to provide them with the basic services. And just here, lastly, we are asking humbly with future engagements that includes, it should include the Human Rights Commissioner, the delegation that always come and sees us, to include brown people that understands our culture, that are educated to deal with indigenous communities, because there always seems to be a clash of people become a little bit apprehensive. So we are asking for future engagements when we are, you know, when we come to a meeting, that it also includes somebody that understands us. And then also after 2 years and 2 years engagement, let me just see what stands here. Almost done. So we are saying after 2 years of engagement, it should take precedence that we are allowed to speak with decision makers at the round table. And why is that? Because our people are tired. We have not closed the N2 because we are a people of peace. So our plight to all spheres of government is see us, witness us, and support us. Kaya gangang si Amase. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members, it is now 12:30. I am tempted to request that we engage on the matter of Knofloskraal, but I want to request that we also release iSimangaliso. I don't think the next 30 minutes will suffice for us to engage their presentation to the latter and do justice to their presentation. We will inform through the secretary of the committee, South African National Biodiversity Institute, together with iSimangaliso, and give them another date for us to interface with their 2022-2023 financial year performance reports. iSimangaliso can also be released so that we are able to properly close the issue of Knofloskraal. I see the hand of Honorable Weber and Honorable C.
That's fine, Chair. I would propose that we accept your proposal and let iSimangaliso also go.
Thank you, Honorable Weber. Honorable C.
No, Chairperson, I also agree that we must do justice to iSimangaliso, but could while the iSimangaliso people are there and the minister, could we say to them that, listen, we are not satisfied with the kind of progress that's being made in terms of the high panel recommendations. And I'm aware that they had a meeting with the farmers recently on the 16th of February. And many of the farmers, commercial and small, are quite unhappy with the progress. So let's hope that by the time we set the next meeting, we will have some substantive progress from the side of iSimangaliso so that we can take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. I can assure this committee that by the end of business today, we would have reverted to all of you members to inform you on how soon do we meet iSimangaliso. I hope that they have noted the issues that you have raised together with the minister. Honorable Weber, I see your hand again.
Yes, Chair. I would like to ask one question to our colleagues from Knofloskraal.
Okay, before that, Honorable Weber, let me just note all the hands. Colleagues, we release iSimangaliso and SANBI and probably the department. Then we engage all of us on the matter of Knofloskraal and we put it to bed. Let me note hands, Honorable Weber. You'll be the first. Okay, proceed, Honorable Weber.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask one question. What was the legal processes followed by the people from Knofloskraal before the actual invasion of the land in December 2020? Have they had communicated this? Did they apply to claim the land? What was the process, if at all, that they have followed to acquire this land before they went over to this process? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Weber. Colleagues, honorable members, Knofloskraal.
Yes, we hear. Thank you so much for the question. We haven't followed any legal processes. We have gone via the UNDRIP, the IOL 169 and the Constitution section 211. So we have not followed any, but we were guided by those that I've just mentioned.
I see the hand of Mangoba. Are you also from Knofloskraal?
No, Chair, it's me, Honorable Chair, sorry, it's me, the Speaker of Theewaterskloof. Just wanted to ask if I can be excused. I just need to run into the budget workshop again.
Okay, are there no issues that we want to ask from the Speaker of Council before we release him? Honorable Mbata?
Not for the Speaker of Council. He can be released because he needs to go to the budget meeting.
Lieutenant General, is that to the Speaker?
Yes, me and the MM Chair, both me and the MM.
Okay, Lieutenant General.
I'm afraid that the discussion that is coming now, can we then be excused because we are also doing investigations? So some of the responses might compromise ourselves. Can we then be excused?
Okay, let's do this. Let's release the Speaker of Council together with the municipal manager. And then let's release the South African Police Services. I believe that you don't want information that come through back doors. Let's remain with honorable members so that we close the matter of Knofloskraal in the next 5 minutes, and then we adjourn so that we can meet in the National Assembly. Honorable Mbata, you will be followed by Honorable Weber. Lieutenant General, you are released with the South African Police Services.
Thank you, Chair. I think we've seen the presentation of the community, but I think for now there's nothing we can do, because if you listen to the reports from the Weber, your mic.
Sorry, Honorable.
Yeah, I'll speak while we are speaking. If you listen to the presentation from this morning, we don't have a concrete report that you can link to all the presenters and say, this is the final report. They align. All departments or whoever presented their report are aligning. And we still haven't finished the issue of the court case, and also the issue of the municipality when they say they don't have money. I think they have proposals that they've put forward, of which I would believe that it needs to wait until their issue has been finalized by court, and also that the municipality and other departments, we must engage as the portfolio committee and get the resolution to say what is happening there and how are they going to get those services when the municipality says they don't have money. For now, I will say we understand, we have seen their presentation, but to me, I don't think we can give them any promises until the court case is finalized and until we have had a meeting with other portfolio committees or other departments that needs to come and present to us. Then after, we can go back to them. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, are there further takers on the Knofloskraal matter? Okay, honorable members, before we invite the people of Knofloskraal, the leadership there, I had made this point earlier, that our task is to provide political oversight on the activities and operations of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. Now, this is the second, if not the third meeting where the department is telling us as the committee that provides oversight over them, that they have now handed over this matter to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. Now, the matters that arose from all the presentations that we have interfaced with here today do not fall squarely within our domain or our area of jurisdiction and scope. It is therefore my proposal that we write an official letter to our sister portfolio committee in particular the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and COCTA, because the issues that are arising here have nothing to do with fisheries, with forestry and environment. Now, I want to persuade this committee that we write a letter to the two sister portfolio committees so that they tackle the matter. If they need a handover report on how far we have interfaced with the matters that relates to Knofloskraal, we can arrange a meeting with them, or we can write them a letter, a report. But I do not see our relevance anymore here, insofar as this matter is concerned. Now, I'm putting it to members of the committee. That will include the South African Human Rights Council Commission. And it only affects us because we are public representatives, but they do not fall within our jurisdiction in an area of work. So I give members of the portfolio committee an opportunity to reflect on this proposal, if it's doable and if it should be done, so that we exit on this matter. Honorable members, I present a proposal to you, sir.
Chairperson?
Is that Honorable Ganjo? Yes, Honorable.
Greetings, Chairperson, and greetings to the colleagues in the meeting. Unfortunately, I'm on my way to Parliament. I'm in the bus, but I want to support your proposal. I fully agree with you when you say that this matter of Knofloskraal, it is not now on our under our portfolio, as the minister has indicated, or the department has indicated that they have handed over to Public Works. But we'll have to write a report, or I support the idea of us having a meeting with the portfolio committee of Public Works so that we can take them through. And I support that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ganjo. Further takers, Honorable Bryant.
Thanks, thanks, Chairperson, and just also support your suggestion on the way forward. You know, it's a very sad state of affairs, this whole situation. You know, our minister, I think, did do what she could to assist, and has accounted to our committee many times, and I think certainly shares the frustrations that we do with the thousands of jobs that have been lost and the environmentally sensitive area that's been destroyed, and just in general the absolutely tardy way that this whole situation has been dealt with by the Department of Public Works, which has collateral for those people who are also now residing on that property. It's a very sad state of affairs, but I think it is out of the remit of our jurisdiction now, and the Department of Public Works and the relevant minister, it's going to change now, needs to really take this up and resolve the issue in the, in the best interests of everybody involved. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your attempts to try and assist from our side as well.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bryant. Honorable Singh.
No, Chair, I don't want to repeat what has been said, but I think one can understand the frustrations of the community. They are legitimate frustrations, and I think we have to accept that because we are members of Parliament first before we serve on the committee. But I think you've put a very practical proposal on the table which needs to be supported. We need to engage our colleagues in the other departments to make sure that they take this matter up in the same serious manner that we have. In fact, Chair, you really indulged the community and everybody else today by spending a number of hours on this item. And that in itself is an indication of the interest we have as members of Parliament first in the community itself. So I support the idea, but I think we have a responsibility to go back to the community, particularly the representatives that are speaking now, and tell them what we've done with the other committee and when they could expect some level of engagement from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Honorable Mbata.
I support your proposal, Chair. I can't dwell much, but I support it fully. Thank you. with all the additionals that have been made.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbata. Minister Chrissy, we are going to request your indulgence going forward in assisting us to write a comprehensive report on how far we've intervened. We've tried to intervene on the matter of Knofloskraal. But to the leadership of Knofloskraal, we want to assure you that we are not just throwing our hands in the air. We will make sure that we submit a comprehensive report, which will also reflect on how many times we've met with you and the number of deliberations that we have had with the South African Police Services, the work that they've done there, the Department of Public Works, which I think in the main has plunged us into this crisis, and it must be clear, we must be unequivocal in saying it. We are not throwing you in the deep end and just leaving you like that. The leadership of Theewaterskloof Local Municipality and all other stakeholders that took keen interest in this matter. As your public representative, will continue to interface with this matter and ensure that we try as much as possible that is at our disposal to get to the bottom of this matter and get you assistance, because that is what we are elected to do as your public representatives. Now, I'm going to request Chileka and Dr. Watts and Tlantla to assist us in the compilation of that report so that we are able to give feedback to the Knofloskraal community and its leadership. And that will be also to the municipality, the South African Human Rights Commission, and everybody else who understands the matters of the situation in Knofloskraal. So that is how we resolve this matter. With that being said, I want to take also this opportunity to thank the minister and everybody else who devoted their time to participate and listen to issues that affects the community of Knofloskraal and Grabouw. We know what is happening there. We will do everything else in our power to try and give a comprehensive report. I know now all of us must then leave and join Parliament. I want to thank you once again for your indulgence and your participation. With all of that being said, take this opportunity to close this meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.